Chapter 2. It was a steep hill up to Ballascadoon, winding close to the houses and the neighbours' eyes having a look, fog over the flat water, and the figure hunched up the road. On top of it, levelled and set in a concrete wall, was a green door. Within the doorway, Smiles, wearing white golfing shoes and tan trousers suspended with bits of wire. By all means, come in, Kenneth. Some place. What holds it up? Faith. O'Keefe went through the house, opening doors, drawers, closets, flushing the toilet, lifting its lid, flushing it again, stuck his head in the hall. Say, this thing really works. If we had something to eat, we'd be able to use it. And they've got one of those big shops down there in the town. Why don't you pop on down with your English accent of yours and get some credit? As much as I like your company, Dangerfield, I prefer it on a full stomach. I'm up to my eyes already, and you don't look so hot in those clothes. O'Keefe jumped on the floor of the drawing room, pulled open the conservatory door, pinched the leaves of a dying plant, and went out into the garden. Standing on the shaggy grass, he gave a shrill whistle as he looked down the precipitous rocks to the swell of the sea many feet below. He went down the narrow bank of the house, looking in the windows. In a bedroom, he saw Dangerfield on his knees chopping a large blue blanket with an axe. He rushed back into the house. Jesus Christ, Dangerfield, what are you doing? Have you gone Asiatic? Patience. But that's the good blanket. Give it to me if you're going to chop it up. Now, Kenneth, watch me. See? Put this round the neck like this, tuck in the ragged edges, and presto, I'm wearing Trinity's rowing blue. Always best to provide a flippant subtlety when using class power. Now let's see about a bit of credit. You shrewd bastard. I must admit it looks good. Make a fire in the stove and I'll be back. Get us a chicken. We'll see. Dangerfield stepped out into the deserted Ballascadoon road. The counter was covered with the rich sides of bacon and wicker baskets of bright eggs. Assistant, white aproned, behind the long counter. Bananas, green from the canary isles, blooming from the ceiling. Dangerfield stopping in front of the grey-haired assistant who leans forward eagerly. Good day, sir. Can I be of any help? Dangerfield, hesitating with pursed lips. Good day, yes. I'd like to open an account with you. Very good, sir. Will you please come this way? The assistant opening a large ledger across the counter, asking Dangerfield's name and address. Shall I bill you monthly or quarterly, sir? I think quarterly. And would you like to take anything with you today, sir? Dangerfield caressing his teeth together, his eyes darting among the shelves. Do you have any cork gin? Certainly, sir. Large or small size? I think large. And anything else, sir? Do you have any Hague and Hague? Assistant calling to the end of the shop. A small boy goes behind the scenes and comes out with a bottle. Dangerfield points to the ham. And how many pounds, sir? I'll take it all, and 2 pounds of cheese and a chicken. Assistant all smiles and remark. Oh, it's the weather. Shocking fog. No day for them ones at sea, or the other either. And clapping his hands to the little boy. Come here and carry the parcels for the gentleman. And a very good day to you, sir. Up the hill, O'Keefe was waiting and sweeping the packages into his arms. In the kitchen, laying out on the table. How you do it, Dangerfield, I don't know. The first time I went looking for credit, they told me to come back with a letter from my bank manager. It's the blue blood, Kenneth. Now I'll cut off a little piece of this cheese and give it to the boy. Dangerfield returns into the kitchen, smiling and rubbing his hands. What made you get all this damn booze? Warm us up. I think a cold front is on the way from the Arctic. What will Marion say when she gets back? Not a word. These English wives are great. Know their proper place? You ought to marry one yourself. All I want is my first piece of arse. Plenty of time to get snowed under with a wife and kids. Give me some of that scotch and out of my way now while I rustle up this food. Cooking is the only work I think I'm fitted for sometimes. One summer, when I was working in Newport, I thought of giving up Harvard. There was this Greek chef who thought I was wonderful because I could speak aristocratic Greek, but they fired me because I invited some of the boys from Harvard into the club's bar for a drink, and the manager came over and fired me on the spot, said the staff weren't to mix with the guests. Quite rightly so. And now I've got a degree in classics and still have to cook. A noble calling. O'Keefe flipping pots and bouncing from sink to table. Kenneth, do you think you're sexually frustrated and maladjusted? I do. And you'll find opportunities in this fine land. Yeah, lots of unnatural collections with farm animals. Jesus, the only time I can forget about it is when I'm hungry. When I eat, I go mad. I sat down and read every book on sex in the Widener library to see how I could get it. Did me no damn good. I must repel women, and there's no cure for that. Hasn't anyone ever been attracted? Once, at Black Mountain College in North Carolina, asked me to come up to her room to listen to some music. She started to press up against me, and I ran out of the room. What for? She must have been too ugly. That's the other thing against me. I'm attracted to beautiful women. Only thing for me now is to grow old and not want it anymore. Ah, you'll want it more than ever. Jesus, that isn't true, is it? Is that what I've got to look forward to? Well, I might as well flip myself off to the back garden there. Tell me, what's it like to have it steady? Get used to it, like most things. I could never get used to it. You will. But what's this little visit of Marion's to Mama and Papa? Friction? Drinking? She and the baby had a little rest. I think our old man must be wise to you. How did he ever screw you out of 250 notes? It's no wonder you never got it. He just took me into his study and said, "Sorry, son, things are a little tight at the moment." Should have said, "Dowry or no marriage." He must have dough, an admiral. Give him the stuff, like to provide for Marion the way she's accustomed to. Could have touched him with a few of those rosy ideas of yours. Too late. This was the night before the wedding. I even refused drink as a strategy. However, he waited a good 5 minutes after the butler left before pleading poverty. O'Keefe spins, holding a chicken by the leg. See, he's shrewd. Saved himself 250 knicker notes. And if you had been on your toes, you could have told him you had Marion up the pole, and with a birth imminent, you needed a little nest egg. Now look at you. All you need to do is flunk your law exams and bingo. I'm all right, Kenneth. Little money and everything's all right. Got a house, wife, daughter. You mean you pay rent for a house? Stop paying rent, no house. Let me pour you another drink, Kenneth. I think you need it. And Keith filling a bowl with breadcrumbs. Night outside and the boom of the sea. Angela's bells. Pause that refreshes. This, Dangerfield, is the blood for which your family will starve and will finally send you to the poorhouse. Should have played it cozy and married strictly for cash. Come in drunk and have a quick one, and whoops, another mouth to feed. You'll all be eating spaghetti as I had to as a kid till it comes out your eyes, or else you'll have to take your English wife and English kids and screw back to America. The chicken, trust, was laid reverently in the pan. O'Keefe, with a smack of the lips, pushed it into the oven. And when that's ready, Dangerfield, we'll have chicken a la Ballaskadoon. You know, this is a pretty spooky house when it gets dark, but I don't hear anything yet except the sea. Wait. Well, ghosts don't bother me on a full stomach, and certainly never if I had a full sex life. Do you know in Harvard I finally got Constant Kelly in my power? There was a girl who strung me along for 2 years till I found out what a fraud American womanhood was, and I squeezed her right under my thumb. But I can't figure it out. I never could get it. She'll do anything but let me in, holding out for wealth on Beacon Hill. I would have married her, but she didn't want to get stuck at the bottom of the social ladder with me. One of her own kind. Jesus, she's right. But you know what I'm going to do? When I go back to the States and I'm fat with dough, wearing my Savile Row suits with my black briar, MG and my man driving, I'm going to turn on my English accent full blast. Pull up to some suburban house where she's married a Mick, turned down by all the old Bostonians. Leave my man at the wheel. I'll walk up the front path, knocking kids' toys out of the way with my walking stick, and give the door a few impatient raps. She comes out, a smudge of flour on her cheek and the reek of boiled cabbage coming from the kitchen, and I'll look at her with shocked surprise. I'll recover slowly, and then my best accent, delivered with devastating resonance, I'll say, "Constance, you've turned out just as I thought you would." And then I'll spin on my heel, give her a good look at my tailoring, knock another toy aside with my cane, and roar away. Dangerfield swinging in the green rocking chair with a wiggle of joy, head shaking with 100 yeses. O'Keefe striding the red tiles of the kitchen floor, waving a fork, his one live eye glistening in his head. A mad Mick for sure. Perhaps he'll slip on one of the toys and break his arse bone. And Constance's mother hated my guts. Thought I'd suck her down socially, would open all the letters I'd write to her daughter, and I'd sit there in the Widener library, thinking up the dirtiest stuff I could imagine, about how I think the old slut loved them. Used to make me laugh, thinking she'd read them and have to burn them. Jesus, I repel women, damn it. Even this winter in Connemara, visiting the old folks, my cousin, who looked like a cow's arse, wouldn't even come across. I'd wait for her to go out to get the milk at night and go with her. At the end of the field, I tried to nudge her into the ditch. I'd get her all breathless and saying she'd do anything if I take her to the States and marry her. I tried that for 3 nights running, standing out there in the rain, up to our ankles in mud and cow flop, trying to get her into the ditch, knock her down, but she was too strong. So I told her she was a tub of lard and I wouldn't take her to East Jesus. Have to get them a visa before you can touch an arm. Marry her, Kenneth. Get tangled with that beast of burden for the rest of my days. Be all right if I could chain her to the stove to cook, but to marry the Irish is to look for poverty. And marry Constance Kelly out of spite. I suggest the matrimonial column of the Evening Mail for you. But no encumbrance. Man of means, extensive estates in the West. Prefers women of stout build, with own capital and car for travel on continent. No others need apply. Let's eat. I want to have my problem uncomplicated. The toasted bird was put on the green table, O'Keefe driving a fork into the dripping breast and ripping off the legs. Pot gives a tremble to the shelf. Little curtains with the red spots flutter. A gale outside. When you think of it, O'Keefe can cook. And this is my first chicken since the night I left New York, and the waiter asked me if I wanted to keep the menu as a memory. And I sat there in the blue carpeted room and said yes. When around the corner in a bar, a man in a brown suit offers to buy me a drink. Come and feels my leg, says he loves New York, and we could go somewhere away from the crowd and talk. Be together, nice boy, high class boy. I left him hanging from a seat, a splash of red, white, and blue tie coming from out of his coat, and I went up to Yorktown and danced with a girl in a flower print dress. He said there was no fun and nobody around. Named Jean with remarkable breasts, and I was thinking of Marian's, my own tall, thin blonde with teeth fashionably bucked. On my way after the war to marry her, ready to take the big plane across the sea. I first met her wearing a sky blue sweater, and I knew they were pears. And what better than ripe pears? In London, in the Antelope, sitting in the back with a fine pot of gin, enjoying these indubitable people. She sat only inches away, a long cigarette in her white fingers, while the bombs were landing in London. I heard her ask for cigarettes, and they had none. And leaning forward in my naval uniform, handsome and strong, said, "Please, do have some of mine." "Oh, no, I couldn't. Really, no, thank you. Please do. I insist. It's very good of you. Not at all." And she dropped one, and I reached down and touched her ankle with my finger. My, what rich, lovely, big feet. "What's the matter, Kenneth? You're as white as a sheet." O'Keefe staring at the ceiling with a half-chewed chicken leg hanging in his fist. "Did you hear that? Whatever that scrabbling in the ceiling is, it's alive." "My dear Kenneth, you're welcome to search the premises. It moves all over the house, even wails, and has a rather disconcerting way of following one from room to room." "Jesus, stop it. That scares me. Why don't you look up there?" "Rather not. The noise is real. Perhaps you'd like to look, Kenneth. Trapdoor in the hall. I'll give you an axe and a flashlight. Wait till I digest my meal. I was just beginning to enjoy all of this. I thought you were kidding." O'Keefe at one end, carrying the ladder to the hall. With the axe cocked, O'Keefe advancing slowly towards the trapdoor, Dangerfield encouraging him on. O'Keefe pushing open the door, peering into the beam of light. No noise, not a sound. Bravery becoming general again. "You look frightened to death, Dangerfield. Think you were the one up here. Probably just some loose papers blowing across the floor. Suit yourself, Kenneth. Just give me a whistle when it gets you around the neck. Go in." O'Keefe disappeared, Dangerfield looking up into the descending dust. O'Keefe's footfalls going towards the drawing room. A wail, a scream from O'Keefe. "Christ, hold the ladder, I'm coming down." Trapdoor down with a slam. "For God's sake, what is it, Kenneth?" "A cat, with one eye. Another one a great gaping hole. What a sight! How the hell did it get up there?" "No idea. Must have been up there all the time. Might have belonged to Mr. Gilhooly, who lived here, only he fell off the cliff out there one night and was washed up 3 months later in the Isle of Man. Would you say, Kenneth, that maybe this house has a history of death?" "Where are you putting me to sleep?" "Cheer up, Kenneth. You look terrified. No need to let a little thing like a cat get you down. You can sleep wherever you like. This house gives me the creeps. Let's build a fire or something. Come into the drawing room and play a little tune on the piano for me." They walked along the red tile hall to the drawing room. Set on a tripod before the bay windows, a large brass telescope pointing out to the sea. In the corner of this ancient upright piano, its top covered open with tins and rinds of cheese. 3 fat armchairs distorted with lumps of stuffing and poking springs. Dangerfield fell back in one, and O'Keefe bounded to the piano, struck a chord, and began to sing. "In this sad room, in this dark gloom, we live like beasts." The windows rattling on rotten sills. O'Keefe's twisted notes. "There you are, Kenneth, sitting on that stool, all the way from Cambridge, Massachusetts, freckled and fed on spaghetti, and me from St. Louis, Missouri, because that night in the Antelope I took Marion to dinner, and she paid. Went a weekend after to a hotel, and I pulled down her green pajamas, and she said she couldn't, and I said, yes, you can. And all the other weekends till the war was over, bye-bye bombs and back to America, where I can only say I was tragic and lonely, feeling Britain was made for me. All I got out of the old man Wilton was a free taxi to our honeymoon. We arrived, and I brought a cane to walk the dales of Yorkshire. Our room was over a stream at this late summer time, and the maid was mad and put flowers in the bed and that night Marion put them in her hair, which she let down over her blue nightgown. Oh, the pears, cigarettes, and gin, abandoned bodies until Marion lost her false front teeth behind the dresser, and then she wept, wrapped in a sheet, slumped in a chair. I told her not to worry, for things like that happened on honeymoons, and soon we would be off to Ireland, where there was bacon and butter and long evenings by the fire while I studied law, and maybe even a quick love make on the lolly rug on the floor. This Boston voice squeaking out its song, this yellow light that goes out the window on stubs of windy grass and black rocks, and down the wet steps by gorse stumps and rusty heather to the high water mark and diving pool, where the seaweeds rise and fall at night in Ballyskadoon Bay.